Hi, this is Sean Arth, President and CEO of Excel Realty and Mortgage. This is In the Know for March 2025. There's a lot of things changing, guys. Do you know what's happening? Okay, so the Fed, they had their meeting yesterday. Today is March 20th. So they had a meeting yesterday and they kept rates the same. So what I wanted to do is at least break it down a little bit for you so you could go out to your clients and kind of at least be in the know, so to speak. So they didn't change rates. They didn't lower them. They didn't raise them. We kind of all expected that. In fact, the odds were 100% for that. So what the good news was on this is what they said afterwards. Powell gave some indications and also emphatically let everybody know that they would be doing something that's gonna help the bond market continue to get better and better. But just to begin with, if you go back even a couple months ago, rates were a lot higher than they are right now. Mortgage rates for a 30-year fixed, 20% down, great credit, all that kind of stuff, they were around 7% before. Now they're around 6.625. Now, in the grand scheme of things, is that rate differential that big? It is for that short of a period of time, but mentally, that is a huge blocker for people when they're at 7+%. So, rates are getting better. There's definitely more activity going on. We told you it wasn't going to be in a straight line, that rates were going to come down, but let's talk about what the Fed did. Okay, so let me break down what the Fed has been doing in the past and what they are doing in the future. So, the Fed, after COVID or around COVID when it started, 2020, 2021, they were doing what's called quantitative easing. And essentially what that means is they were buying their own debt. So they would issue treasury bonds or whatever. There's a lot of different things that they could do, but basically treasury bonds, and then they would buy them themselves. So what happened with that is rates were artificially lowered by a lot. And in 2022, they started tapering that off. And then they changed their stance to what's called quantitative tightening, the exact opposite. So what they were doing is they were letting bonds roll off their balance sheet. So the way that you can kind of look at that is a bond has usually a 10-year or a 20 or a 30-year life cycle, okay? Every month there's new bonds that are issued. Every month new bonds are expired from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. Well, what they were doing is they weren't buying back and they weren't actually replenishing the amount of debt that they had on their balance sheet. So their balance sheet was coming down. And, in theory, that's a good thing, but the reality is that that's what's artificially made rates go up so high, plus inflation and a lot of other things. But what they said yesterday is that as of April, they will start not letting all of these bonds roll off their balance sheet. They're actually going to be repurchasing about $20 billion per month. Okay, that's a huge deal. And so, you're talking about $240 billion per year that they'll be putting back on their balance sheet instead of letting it roll off. So basically what's going to happen with that is rates are going to continue to get better and better. We are going into a time that is typically a better time of the market anyways. So the spring selling season, everybody loves it. It's the beginning of the year for actually doing a decent amount of business. And so you need to make sure that you're talking to your clients right now because they're going to see more for sale signs going up. And with that, on the real estate side, what we're seeing is more inventory for sure. That's normal during this time of the year. It's still a very lack of inventory in general. So there's still nowhere near enough homes for the amount of buyers that will want to purchase. again, news cycles, they take a long time to kind of catch up to what's going on. But as rates continue to come down, people are going to start hearing that more and more in the news. They're going to be interested in buying, and more sellers are going to be interested in selling because they want to move to a different home potentially. So you need to get out there. You need to actually talk to clients. You need to actually put yourself out there a little bit, because you never know what's going to happen when you talk to somebody. Okay, so realtors, we have a product for you. So we have a new product. We've had home equity lines of credit for a long time, but this one's a little special. So basically, it is a super quick process. We put some information into the system. Within 5 minutes, it tells us if they're approved or not. We can give those options to the client, and they can get their money in 5 days. So it is a super automated process. It only works for certain types of borrowers, but a lot of borrowers. So reach out to us. I'm going to give you some use case scenarios that you could be looking at. So as a realtor, if you are listing a home, let's say you're talking to a client, they want you to come out, you look at the home, you go, wow, they need to get some things done on this home. Maybe they don't have the funds available right there to do that. So maybe they need to do new landscaping, paint the outside of the house, maybe they need a new roof, maybe they need whatever. You can get this from us in a short period of time, and your client can have that money very quickly. When they go to sell the home, it just gets paid off with the proceeds from the home. Not a big deal. So it's a huge option for people to use. You can also use it if the buyer is looking to sell their home, but they don't want to sell until they bought a home. Well, it's kind of like a bridge loan that you can use, where we can give them this HELOC, up to $450,000, and maybe they use that as the down payment to buy the house, then they sell their house in between that. So there's a lot of different options. Obviously, all the normal options, hey, if you need to consolidate debt, or if you need to pay off student loans, or if you just want to remodel your house and stay there, it's a good option for that as well. Super quick, super painless, super easy. So look for that, contact us, and we'll get you hooked up with one of the loan officers to be able to do that. Okay, we are going to be doing a lot more meetings here in the near future on Zoom, but also right here in the conference room. So the realtor group, I know that there's a couple realtors that really want to get together for some accountability kind of meetings, and just helping each other market, see what's going on in the market, kind of trade stories, and do it in-house in this office. So look for some things coming out on that. We're going to also be doing some more on the lending side as far as getting out there. What are some of the top producers doing? How are they getting business? What are they saying to their clients? That type of thing. So look for that. Hey guys, the market is changing right now. Don't be left behind. Go out, talk to your clients, and get the ball rolling. You never know where it's going to lead. All right, that's been In the Know for March 2025. Bye.